Here is what ESPN does not want you to know about Big 12 basketball. This is a bonus episode of Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. And today, I joined ESPN Central Texas. Ward, Jacob, our old friends. You know, this is one of my favorite parts of the week, when I join a local radio station in Big 12 country and just talk about Big 12 sports. So you get like unabridged, like, oh, clickbait. Oh, he's making stuff. Ugh. I think those are the things people comment. I don't read the comments all the time. My mom reads them. She sends them to me sometimes, the nice ones. But this is not like, oh, he made this up. Ugh. I don't know why I'm groaning. This is instead journalists who are professionals and good at their job asking me questions, various questions about Big 12 basketball, portal, all kinds of stuff, whatever they want to ask me. So let's do it. And graciously, they're like, hey, yeah, man, record it. Take the audio. Have some fun with it. Why not? So that's what we got today. Let's do it. Yeah, babe, look, yeah, if you hit subscribe, I can keep my job. And so, yeah, let's go.
It is the one and only Drake Toll. Drake, good morning to you. Thanks for your time.
Ward, good morning. My butt is in the sand. The birds are chirping. The dolphins are frolicking, and it's 24 degrees.
Hey, all right. Very nice. Well, we've got you beat. It's
65.
It's reaching up to 60 degrees here in Waco, Texas. How about that?
That's great. That's great.
All right, Drake, as we make our way down the stretch run for the Big 12, and last night, Texas Tech falls at home to Kansas, and this thing is liable to, and I don't know if it will, but it has the possibility of getting really bunched up as we go down the stretch, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And the problem, Ward, is if you ask the AP poll, they're not bunching up teams in the right spot. Like they're burying the Big 12 a little bit, and instead of giving them their due, here's the problem. We have this conversation with the SEC in football every year is, yeah, if the number 4 team plays the number 8 team every week, of course they're all going to jumble up, beat each other, and then be outside the top 10. That's what's kind of happening to Big 12 basketball at this point is everybody at the top. The top 7 teams, UCF is included in that. They're really good. And I don't understand why UCF, who's 17-4 with a road win against Texas A&M, is getting less votes for the AP poll than Texas A&M, a team that should be ranked in the Knights. Completely unranked is another example of how the Big 12 is being slighted in the AP poll right now. But yeah, it's tough to differentiate these teams at the top of the Big 12. And when Darren Peterson plays for Kansas, they might be the best team in the conference outside of Arizona. I still believe that Arizona has proven, and look, they're undefeated. Of course they've proven this. It's low-hanging fruit to say it. They've proven they're the best team in the Big 12. I got to watch them live last Monday against BYU, and top to bottom, from experience to youth and athletic youth and NBA talent, Arizona's the best team in the country, the best team in the Big 12. But after that, that's where it gets a little bit more bunched up. And you have a couple more question marks of, hey, any given night that Texas Tech plays Houston, you could see Tech win that game. They did 90-86 against the Cougars a couple of weeks ago. Any given night, UCF could go beat Texas Tech because they did. Any given night, Houston could beat Texas Tech because they did. That's the beauty of where the Big 12 sits right now at the top of its conference in basketball, is each team is elite, and we're watching some of the best hoops you could ask for. But then again, Ward, I mean, you've watched it in the last couple months. The sucky part is you have teams like Kansas State or Utah or Colorado. They're just kind of hanging around and don't give as much competition for the teams at the top.
Drake Toll with us here on the Press Box on ESPN Central Texas, and you mentioned Arizona, and for Arizona, they've got some choppy waters they have to navigate going down the stretch as well. I mean, there's some games that could be very difficult for Arizona to get out unscathed.
I want people to, I mean, look here, I'll say this, and now hosting, the morning show with Westwood One Sports, I've learned sometimes you have a guest on And it's pretty easy as a listener to tune out a phone call. Like, phone call is just different. It's a different sound. If you're gonna hold on to anything that I say in the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, hold on to this. Arizona will go on the road against Kansas. Then they'll play number 13 Texas Tech, number 16 BYU, on the road against Houston, on the road against a Baylor team that's looking better. Then they'll play Kansas again before they play number 7 Iowa State. Ward, that is an insane ask for the Arizona Wildcats to go 6 of their 7 games against top 15 caliber opponents, and the 7th game is on the road against Baylor that won the national championship a few seasons ago. They have a tall task in front of them, but if anybody can do it, it's Koa Pete and company, Braden Burries and company. Like I said, I get to see them live, and this team is as dangerous as they come, especially the way they finish out their games, like the win against Arizona State or West Virginia. I love what Arizona's doing, but they certainly will be stacked, and they have the cards stacked against them, and they'll be hard-pressed to not lose a game or two down the stretch.
Baylor goes up to Morgantown and turns things around and finally gets a win in the Big 12. Could that be a jumping off spot for Drew and the Bears?
Yeah, it has to be. You know, the cool part of this is Joe Lunardi, because Baylor has a lot of respect in college basketball. Scott Drew has a lot of respect. Lunardi has bumped them back into the bubble. They are one of those 12 to 15 teams sitting outside looking in, but at least in the conversation, at least their name is on the graphic. And they should beat Colorado come tomorrow. They should beat Colorado by 20. The problem is, they're going to need to win the games they're supposed to and then trip up a couple teams they're unexpected to beat. They might go on the road and lose to Iowa State and still be okay, but you need to beat BYU at home. You need to beat Louisville at home. You have to win at Kansas State and against Arizona State. But if you have a 4-game win streak with those 4 games on your docket, that's where Baylor gets squarely back in the conversation, and we start asking the question, are the Bears a 12 seed? Are they a team that gets into that first weekend play-in 68 team that made it in? It's still possible, especially given that Kansas State, Arizona State are very winnable. BYU, Louisville are home games. They get Arizona at home. That's a massive opportunity to win a game and put a feather in your hat. And then Utah at home at the end of the season going into the Big 12 tournament is another game you should win. If Baylor can get, and it's a very tough thing to do because they're sitting at 2-7 right now. If Baylor in these last 10 or so games can win 5 of them, can win 5 or 6 of them in the Big 12, it's a very tough thing to ask again. They go from bubble team to maybe that last 4-in spot, especially if they steal a win in the Big 12 tournament. I don't think the Bears are out of this thing yet, thanks to that win at West Virginia. Today's show is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who show there's more to the score than what's on the screen, these remind us of everyday moments that actually raise the bar. And this week, it was West Virginia women's basketball with the highlight of the week. Another top 15 win and in Big 12 play against the Baylor Bears at home, and a top 15 win by double digits, snapping an 8-game Bears win streak. That's the extra work it takes off the court, dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, and saying, I never quit. That's exactly what West Virginia women's basketball did this week, and that's pretty awesome, by the way. They are fun to root for and a fun team to watch in an NCAA tournament juggernaut if they keep it up. So, Mazda puts the same passion into every model. Highlights make the real. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you with Mazda. Hey, right before we jump into Texas Tech, BYU leading the way in the athletics preseason way too early poll. I want to let you know, thanks for making Locked On Big 12 your first listen every single day. Thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network in the world. If you haven't already, check out our Everydayer Club. Ad-free Locked On Big 12 every single day. LockedOnBig12.supercast.com. LockedOnBig12.supercast.com for the biggest fans of Locked On Big 12. LockedOnBig12.supercast.com. Tap that link in the show notes or go visit that link to become an Everydayer. TJ, let's rock.
Drake, are we still looking at possibly 7, maybe sneaking in 8 teams into the tournament?
What stinks so much here, Ward, is that 8 will be really tough to do. And I think the Big 12 deserves 8. I think there will be a team or two that sneak their way into the conversation come the end of the year. And that's at least the hope for Brett Yormark, the conference commissioner and company. But who is it? Is it TCU? Is it Oklahoma State that surprises some folks? I mean, Oklahoma State's still 15-6. It's a really good record, but 3-5 in Big 12 play is not getting them any respect. Is it TCU? Can the Horned Frogs prove, hey, we deserve a little bit of chatter when it comes to the NCAA tournament and who's getting in here? Maybe. I think there is a conglomerate of teams like West Virginia, Oklahoma State, TCU, Baylor that are all just waiting in the wilderness right now, and they need to win games and win games fast. The problem is the top 7 in this conference, UCF being number 7, they're so good. They're just not slipping up. They're not allowing some of those lower end Big 12 teams to win. And because the upper echelon of this league is so good, you're looking at a Baylor team that, man, in the ACC, in the SEC, they might be a tournament team. They're probably winning 10 or 12 games in conference play. In the Big 12, it's just the fact that you've got to play Houston and then BYU and then Texas Tech and then Kansas. That's just brutal.
Drake Toll, Locked On Big 12 and host of the Westwood One Morning Show with us here on the Press Box on ESPN Central Texas. Baylor women also go up to West Virginia, get tripped up. Baylor was on a roll going into that ball game, just couldn't get it put together down the stretch for the Bears, and they need a bounce back coming up tomorrow night against Cincinnati, don't they?
Yeah, and they should get that. You know, I felt like Baylor, not that they were due for a loss at some point, but you're running into a West Virginia team that's won multiple games now by double digits against top 15 opponents. They're really, really salty. They could make more noise than people expect in the NCAA tournament. And the Big 12 is, I think I said this, I may have said this to you last year, Ward, like it felt as though on the women's side, this league was as deep as ever in 2025. And now in 2025-26, it's even deeper. There's even more competition, even down to Kansas State and Arizona State that are playing teams tough. Colorado, who looks really good and could be a tournament team. For the Baylor Bears going into their game on Wednesday, they're going to need a win against Cincinnati. They'll likely get that win. They're playing on the road's a little tougher, but since he's 8-14, you can't afford those kind of if you want to build yourself up come the NCAA tournament.
When you look at what they've been able to do leading up to that West Virginia game, it looked like almost they were in cruise control. And you're right, you look at the schedule, and maybe there's a possibility for a slip-up. But getting it back on track, what is the reason for the success right now for Nikki and the Bears? Is it that defense that they're able to shut people down with?
It certainly has to start with the defense, Ward. And look, it's a Baylor team that I'll go back to their game they played early in the year against Duke, and it was defense then, allowing 52 points. When they lost that Iowa game, there were question marks about how good Iowa was. Is that a real, it's Iowa, but people remember them from Caitlin Clark. They don't really remember them for being a stalwart in women's basketball. But turns out that Iowa team's really good. That Texas team you lost to is really good. The Texas Tech team you lost to is really good. And then your win streak, you're holding teams like Utah on the road to 45 points, BYU to 58 points, a UCF team to 48 points. Nikki Collins' defense. And as much as I say that, your road win against Iowa State was predicated on offense, 72-70. But Nikki Collins' defense is up there with the best of them. And that's what's going to keep Baylor in any NCAA tournament game. But I'm circling it right now. The game against TCU on February 12th, I should say, that's the one. We're going to learn a whole lot more about Baylor in NCAA tournament caliber games when they play TCU at home. It needs to be a great crowd in Waco for that contest. And then again, when they face TCU on the road later this season.
That could be a conference championship, couldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We could be looking at those two teams playing in deep into the NCAA tournament, meeting in the Elite Eight, but also playing in a conference championship out of the Big 12 tournament, showcasing the best of what this conference has to offer. I genuinely believe that. It is a TCU team that I still think is very scary with what they're giving the Big 12 right now, the fits that they're giving teams in the Big 12 right now, and a Baylor team that, despite their loss to West Virginia, still has everything in front of them. Oh, baby, today's show is brought to you by Indeed. Look, man, Indeed is the spot to go. Indeed's super easy. You can download the app. You can go to their website, and I do it pretty frequently, actually, just to see what's out there. Because hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. Indeed, sponsored jobs is the move where you can find quality candidates to work for you. I am looking for a brand new intern for Locked On Big 12. Indeed's the spot to do that. It's where I'm going to do that. Skills, certifications, location. It makes it really easy for me to find the right candidate within like 12 hours. I'm hiring. I don't want just someone who can help. I want someone with real experience who can jump right in. Here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get the job, the premium status you need. Indeed.com/podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Do it the right way with Indeed.
Drake, it looks like, well, there may be a few, but the portal classes have all signed. Before the portal period, my enthusiasm for Baylor football for next year on a scale of 1 to 10 was pretty close to a 0. It was probably a 1.
Yeah.
Honestly, after the transfer portal period, I think 18 of the 24 were offensive and defensive linemen, 8 on each side, or maybe 9 defensive linemen. And DJ Lagway, his dad, DJ Lagway, one of the top quarterbacks in the portal. Mine's maybe up to a B. Like, I want to see this play out, even though I didn't agree with them bringing back Aranda. If you had to grade your enthusiasm, where would it be?
Yeah, I think a B is where I sit. And you know what's interesting is that this is interesting. That's the crazy piece to me. Aaron is like, a month ago, this wasn't interesting at all. I hated this. I didn't want to see this. There was no excitement, but signing DJ Lagway, that brought me back around. I think it should bring Bears fans back around. He's the kind of guy that individually can sway 1, 2, 3 wins for Baylor. He's the kind of athlete that, and you can go back to Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M. That team was not as good as Alabama, but they had one player, an individual, the most important position on the field at quarterback, who could win you games that you probably weren't supposed to win. That's the kind of kid DJ Lagway is. I think everybody's seen this and I'll liken it a bit to high school football here. It happens sometimes in college football because college players are sloppy. I've been told, Jesse Holley played for the Cowboys, said the difference in college and NFL, in college, players make mistakes a lot of the time. In the NFL, everybody's a genius. They're well practiced. They know what they're doing. They're calculated. College, those mistakes are going to lead to big upsets. Those mistakes, the playing field evens even more when elite level talent has a mental lapse. For Baylor, you have an elite level talent at quarterback now that can give you an edge when you didn't expect to have that 4 weeks ago before you brought on DJ Lagway. He's going to elevate the rest of the team. Now, that said, if you look at the on-3 composite, they've totaled up what Baylor lost versus what they've gained, and they are 11th in the Big 12 right now in where the roster sits from a talent standpoint going into next season based on what's going to the NFL, what's graduating, what's leaving out in the transfer portal, and what is coming in. So for the Baylor Bears, they still didn't have a top-level or elite portal class based on what everybody else in the Big 12 did, given what they lost versus what they gained. But Aaron, what they gained gives me the hope that Baylor can at least be fun to watch. And look, if Dave Aranda sneaks up on 8 wins next season, he buys himself even more time in Waco and possibly another year of DJ Lagway. If that's the case, things could go different for his career. But obviously, given what you saw last year and missing a bowl game, there is still the chance that Baylor misses a bowl game yet again. The bottom falls out and Dave Aranda is job hunting come 2027.
As we get closer to spring football, what is the teams that you're looking at in spring that has the most questions to answer with their spring football class?
I still think it's Oklahoma State. And it's not because they won one game last year. It's because they bring in so much new talent. Again, that same composite, Oklahoma State, they brought in 54 players. They lost 64 players. That is just monumental. And the players they brought in are good. I mean, they have a really good, of those 54, a really good chunk, a couple of 5-stars in there. North Texas kids coming up. Drew Messamaker coming up from the UNT ranks. But, man, Ward, you're a ball coach. If you sit anybody down in front of 54 new players. Hey, look, when you were coaching, Ward, it wasn't like there were 54 new players from somewhere off in the ether. There was no way you would ever have 54 new guys. You'd have 25 out of a high school class, 31 out of a high school class, right? Maybe a couple transfer in. And what would happen is you'd matriculate up. Like these guys would go from freshmen to sophomores to juniors at the same school. No, this is complete roster overhaul. Over half the guys will be with a new head coach playing at a brand new school in a brand new system with brand new facilities. Everything's brand new. There are a massive amount of question marks on what that's going to look like for Oklahoma State. And as challenging as that should be in the modern era, Kurt Signetti just did the same thing and won a national championship doing it. Is Eric Morris built to do that at Oklahoma State? That's my big question for the spring.
Drake Toll, Locked On Big 12 and host of Westwood One Morning Show. Drake, tell them how they can find you.
Yeah, at Locked On Big 12, wherever you find your podcast and on YouTube, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Time, Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app, at Drake C. Toll if you like bad tweets, or just show up at the beach. I'm probably there.
Drake, appreciate the time as always. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Always fun, Ward. Looking forward to next week already. All
right, there he goes. Drake Toll with us here in the press box on ESPN Central Texas. Stay right there. We're back right after.
Okay, bye. Fun. Love those guys. My microphone dropped out in the middle of that, and it just, who knows, man? Who knows? Okay, love you guys. Oh, this has been It Always Will Be Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose grande.